Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, I am going to be discussing last night's game between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors. However, before I get too far into it, I would like to remind you all to leave a like and subscribe. I've been appreciating all the support that I've been receiving lately, and I hope to see that continue. I'm currently at 199 subscribers as of the time that I'm beginning this video. So if you can hit that subscribe button and get me to 200, that would be very much appreciated. Now, without further ado, let's discuss the game. So this was a pretty entertaining game. The final score was a bit more lopsided than it was throughout, as the Warriors ended up winning by 22, 130 to 108. I thought that after the first couple minutes, when the Warriors immediately jumped out to a 19-4 lead, that this could end up being a blowout. But throughout, the Timberwolves are able to fight back by playing hard and corralling a large amount of offensive rebounds and forcing a lot of Warrior turnovers. That's really what kept them in this game. They were able to cut it down to 8 with about 6 minutes left. And from there, Steph Curry kind of took over the game. However, the main reason why I was pretty excited for this matchup was because it was a game between the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft and the number 2 overall pick in last year's draft. Now, to me, these were the second and third best players, or best prospects in the draft. I thought that LaMelo Ball was the consensus, or at least to me, not consensus, because obviously he wasn't, because the Timberwolves took Anthony Edwards, but he was the clear number 1 pick. And that's not the direction that both of these two teams ended up going in, and I think that they will regret that down the line. But they still have 2 interesting young players, so let's talk about them a little bit. I've seen more of James Wiseman, as I have watched maybe 4 or 5 complete Warriors games so far this year, whereas this was my first Timberwolves game. So I'll start off by talking about Wiseman. Wiseman had 13 points and 4 rebounds, as well as 2 blocks on 4 for 5 shooting and 5 for 8 from the free throw line. This was the first game of his young career where he came off the bench, as Steve Kerr said that he wanted to have the veteran experience of Kevon Looney in the starting lineup. And I thought that Wiseman actually played one of his best games that I've seen coming off the bench tonight. On the defensive end of the floor, he didn't look like he was completely confused, and a lot of times he actually made some solid plays. I think that both of his block shots were emphatic weak side rejections, in which he was able to play some good help defense and do a nice job of protecting the rim. On offense, he didn't fall in love with his jump shot too much. There were a couple times where he caught it at the elbow, made a few moves, and was able to get to the rim and finish. He also got to the free throw line 8 times in just 16 minutes of play, so that was promising as well. I really liked what Wiseman did today, and I especially enjoyed that move that he made where he made a hard dribble to his left, spun back to his right, and finished with his right hand on the right side of the basket. I thought that that was a pretty clean move by Wiseman, and something that I look for him to try to replicate as he tries to establish more of a post game as his career continues. On the other side of the ball, you had the number 1 overall pick from last year's draft, whereas Wiseman was the number 2 overall pick in Anthony Edwards. Edwards had 15 points on 4 for 13 shooting. He also got to the line quite frequently, as he was 6 for 7 from the strike. Edwards, I guess when people think about this game, they're probably going to watch the highlights and see that monstrous one-handed tomahawk slam that he had over James Wiseman and come away thinking that he played really well. Like, how can you have that dunk and score 15 points and not play well? The answer is that between the plays that he makes that are really nice plays, he's not very good at just the play-by-play action of basketball. For every exciting steal he makes, or every exciting drive into a dunk, or every time he draws a foul, there are at least a couple boneheaded shots, or defensive miscues, or bad turnovers that result in really shooting his own team in the foot. So Edwards has to clean it up in those areas. He has to be smarter defensively. He has to improve his shot selection. He's not a very good shooter, so he definitely needs to tone down the outside jump shots and focus on getting to the rim more often, as that is where he has been most success so far in his career, and especially tonight, as he actually did a pretty nice job of getting to the line. As I said before, was able to shoot 7 free throws. Both of these guys I'm a little bit on the fence about, because I think that they do have some pretty high upside, but they still need to learn and figure it out. But that's common for rookies. So I think that we will see continued development from them, and this has a chance to be a pretty solid draft class. A little bit better than I think a lot of people expected, and that is a compliment to what these two guys did. They're not going to be very good this year. They're going to be net negatives on the court. But as their careers continue, I think that both of these guys have a chance to be pretty good. Outside of the rookies, Steph Curry really turned it on for the Warriors down the stretch in the fourth quarter. He played just 6 minutes in the fourth, and in those 6 minutes, he was able to pile on 15 points to bring his total for the night to 36 on 11 for 21 shooting, 7 for 12 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the free throw line. He was very aggressive in that fourth quarter, as when he came in, the Wolves were on a bit of a run, and he absolutely flipped the momentum around by knocking down a few huge three-pointers off of the dribble, and also by getting into the lane and drawing some fouls. This really turned the game for the Warriors and was the primary reason why they were able to win. A fantastic job by Curry in the fourth quarter of really closing it out. And honestly, this is what you expect from a guy who is playing at the level that Steph Curry is, of course. And he's the primary reason why I think that this Warriors team has a chance to finish as a top 6 seed in the West, and why I think I've been higher on them than the general consensus has throughout the course of this young regular season. Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre also played pretty solid tonight. Wiggins especially had an interesting game as he scored 23 points and grabbed 6 rebounds. What's really interesting about those 6 boards is that every single one of them was an offensive rebound, if I read the stat sheet correctly. That just doesn't seem right, and there's almost no way that I read that right, but if that is correct, then whoa. Why didn't he have any defensive rebounds, and how was he able to grab 6 offensive boards? I feel the more and more I say this that I must have read that wrong. But he also is pretty efficient from the field, and he finished the game with 3 blocks and 3 steals. Where I am especially impressed with Wiggins' play so far this year is on the defensive end of the floor. He seems to be giving fantastic effort, as the Warriors announcers are not shy about pointing out. He would be first in the NBA in blocks per game if you subtract every single player who is positioned as a center. So he's been doing an excellent job in that aspect of the game. He's also very aggressive at using his length to get in passing lanes and poke the ball away to create some transition opportunities for his team. The other player who's playing on the wing for long stretches of time for the Warriors, and Kelly Oubre, also had a solid defensive game as he put up 3 steals as well. Oubre also had a solid offensive game, scoring 14 points on 4 for 9 shooting. It seems like he is improving his shot selection, and I think that has had some positive implications for his shooting percentage, and is a main reason why he's shooting the ball better as of late. I also thought that he was playing better defensively. The more and more he plays with Draymond Green, the better and better he seems to get on that end of the court. I think that this Warriors team is still learning how to play together. They're still getting better, and I think that they are going to hit a streak pretty soon where they establish themselves as the 6th or 7th best team in the West. I think that I could see them either being 6th behind the Lakers, Clippers, Jazz, Nuggets, and Suns, or 7th if you put them behind the Mavericks as well. So this is a good team, and I think that they're being slept on a little bit by the NBA as a whole, because I think that there's a lot of people who still don't even think that they are going to be a playoff team, and I think that they have pretty much solidified themselves in that category. So kudos to the Warriors for a solid win, and let's talk about the Timberwolves a little bit. Malik Beasley was the leading scorer tonight, finishing with 30 points and 7 rebounds on 10 for 18 shooting. Also was 4 for 9 from 3 and 6 for 6 from the free throw line. Like I said before, this is my first time viewing the Timberwolves so far this season, and I was really impressed by what I saw of Beasley. In D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns' absences, he was able to step it up and really score at a high level for the Timberwolves. He was knocking down shots from the perimeter at a high level, both from beyond the arc and in the mid-range. That's really where his game is at its best as a jump shooter. That's how he piles on points. He's not much of a slasher or anything like that. He's mostly reliant on the jump shot, and today that jump shot was really falling at a high level. I have to kind of eat my words a little bit because I said that this was a really bad contract for the Timberwolves when he initially signed his 4-year, $60 million deal. I saw some overlap with players like Anthony Edwards in terms of position-wise, and I thought that they could have allocated this money in a better way. But Beasley has been off to a great start to the season overall, and today he once again played very well, and it looks like that contract may end up being a pretty solid deal for the Timberwolves. I also was impressed with some of the role player contributions we saw from the Timberwolves. I think that some guys like Jared Vanderbilt and Jordan McLaughlin have a chance to be some pretty solid bench contributors on a good team at some point in their careers. Vanderbilt in particular really stood out to me. He finished with 12 points and 5 rebounds on 5 for 8 shooting, also was very active defensively, piling on 2 blocks and 2 steals. The second-year player out of Kentucky is always playing hard. He has a great motor and is consistently making impactful plays on the defensive end of the floor. He's also a really good cutter on offense and has some potential as a grab-and-go guy in transition from the power forward position. The make or breaks area for Jared Vanderbilt and what is going to determine whether or not he's able to stick in the NBA is the jump shot. If he's able to shoot it in the mid-30s, then I think that this guy has a real place as a bench contributor on NBA teams moving forward. If the 3 doesn't come along, then he's either going to be a guy who bounces between the G League and NBA or someone that could end up spending his career overseas. I like him quite a bit, and I think that it was an excellent flyer by the Timberwolves to acquire him from the Nuggets last season, but he's going to have to improve on that jump shot if he really wants to stick around. Jordan McLaughlin, in my opinion, was one of the more underrated players on the free agent market this past season. What he brings to a team as a shooter and ball distributor is very valuable, and I think that he could have functioned as a quality backup point guard this season. He's also very young and has an opportunity to improve a little bit. I liked what I saw from him tonight, putting up 15 points and 5 assists on 7 for 12 shooting. I think that his ability to space the floor for a bench unit is very valuable, and I could see him ironing out to have a DJ Augustine type career. I was very surprised that he was unable to get a guaranteed contract from any team in this past offseason, as he was forced to come back to this Timberwolves team on a two-way. But I like Jordan McLaughlin a lot, and I think he really has a chance to have a nice NBA career. Last guy to touch on here was the other rookie for the Timberwolves, and that is Jaden McDaniels. I liked what I saw from him in the first quarter as he was able to knock down some shots, jump shots off of the dribble, which is always an intriguing skill from young wing players. However, he really cooled off in the rest of the game. I think that all 7 of his points came in that first quarter, and he was really ineffective outside of that. But you can see that with his length, he's going to be a valuable player. I don't see a way that he doesn't end up in an NBA rotation because of his physical gifts. And I think that it was a really nice pick for the Timberwolves to grab him at number 28. Another guy I'm eating my words on a little bit because I think I had him in the high 30s on my draft board. That looks like a mistake so far. That's everything that I wanted to cover on tonight's game. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, right on the border of hitting 200 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you would help me to reach that milestone. That's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.